Today I'm trimming back these very overgrown knockout rose bushes. Welcome to Garden Sanity, I'm Laura, and these rose bushes, it's mid-March, normally are not already covered with fresh green growth. But our winter here in Zone 7, southern New Jersey was so mild. We had a dusting of snow and that was it. It never really got super cold other than December when we had that polar freeze everybody had. So this is what happened, is we've got all this growth that makes the shrub actually look like it's getting ready to bloom. I mean, this is normally what it looks like towards the end of April. So sometimes I get questions on what to do with this, and a lot of times this is also what your knockout roses will look like if you live in more southern climates where it doesn't get as cold. Your knockout roses don't really lose their, I don't want to call it evergreen, but they don't really lose their leaves during the mild season, maybe a little bit, and then they bounce back. So the answer to that is I still prune them, and that's because they grow. I mean, they can grow up to a couple feet, even more if they're super happy in their spot. This one here, you can see there's even a tall guy right there. This one I usually cut down to about 3 feet, and I'm 4'11", so you can see it grows pretty tall and pretty wide during the season. So today I'm going to cut these down. I did a video called Pruning Knockout Roses. It's already 2 years ago I did that video here on this channel, and I still stand by that video. So I'm going to link to it above, I'm going to link to it at the end of the video, and I'll link to it below, because that is still the video to watch where I show extreme close-ups in a lot of ways of exactly how to prune knockout roses. But I wanted you to see today, just kind of give you an overview of how I prune these. So I'm going to set the camera up and I'm just going to have at it, and you can see exactly how I prune them, etc. So I hope this video is helpful, and now I want to show you what are the tools I use. So here's the tools. First is a garbage can, and it's already got the plastic bag inside it, and that's because with knockout roses, whether you've had black spot or fungal diseases or not, you don't want to take a chance just throwing those in your compost pile, so definitely toss them out. I've got my garden kneeler bench, and a lot of times I'll use the garden kneeler part when I'm trying to get down way low to look at things. I've got my handy dandy nitrile coated garden gloves, nitrile on this side, cloth on this side, and I use these a lot. However, I also now use my rose pruning gloves that look like superhero gloves, and I use those. Definitely they go up to the elbow and really protect your arms and hands from thorns. I've got I got a small size pruner, by the way. This is a very short pruner and it really works great. And I got that from Gardener's Supply. I bought that last year and it's been working great for me. And then I've got my Fiskars pruners, which look filthy, but they're actually clean, believe it or not, and disinfected. And I've got water because this is one of the first pruning projects of the season, and you just want to make sure you stay hydrated. You know what, I'm inserting this into the beginning of the video because I didn't want to forget to mention there is one major difference between the video 2 years ago and now. In the video 2 years ago, I had 3 knockout roses here, and I said that one may have had some fungus. I wasn't quite sure. It did. It was Rosette disease, so I took it out. And the way you take it out is you cover the shrub, and I'm not exaggerating because you don't want this spreading to your other plants. You cover the shrub with a plastic bag, and then you prune right from the bottom. Just get all those canes with a big lopper and then just throw it away. Tie up the bag and throw it away. Now there are some people that say, well, good luck with these because it may spread, and it often does spread. However, these guys have been fine for the past 2 years, so knock on wood that it'll stay that way. So just wanted to let you know. And this guy, look at this guy. Oh, this is interesting. So this is one long stem, but I hope you can see this on the camera. It's basically a new stem from last summer, but it's basically died off. It probably froze. You can see the remnants of the roses up here. It's all froze. However, what's really nice is the rest of the stem is healthy, and it's got, there we go. It's got some new growth right there. So I'm actually just going to cut it right above that new growth. So again, don't panic if you see some dead stems. Okay, I'm gonna go to here. That's good. Yeah, I'm starting to chuck them. Gets to a point, right, where you're like, I'm being nice and neat, and now I'm gonna chuck them. Again, I'm seeing where I made some of my cuts from last year, which makes it easy. And remember what I said, go slow. See, I'm starting to wrangle the rose bush, and then it becomes a battle. And that is not conducive to garden sanity, not at all. Make sure the shrub has some air movement inside the shrub, because it's going to fill in like you won't even believe during the season. So you really want to make sure that you provide enough airflow. The more airflow the shrub has, then the less there's going to be fungus that's going to arise when you get heat and humidity, if you get heat and humidity like I do, like we do. I mean, I get it personally, but so does our summer temperatures. By the way, I find it much easier to trim these back as I go along rather than leave them for the end, because by the end, cleanup's the last thing I want to do. And I'm sure it's that way with you too. Just a little tip. I don't know. You could also leave it for another day, but I like to just get everything done and have it done. You know what I mean? After you do this for many years, you're really going to get to know your rose bush. After you do it for maybe 2 years, you're going to get to know it. It can be really daunting. And if you read the comments on my pruning knockout roses video from a couple years ago, you will see how many people said they were scared to death to take this task on, but that after they watched my video and did it, they felt so much better. And you know, it's great because it gives you a lot more confidence as a gardener, whether you are beginner, you've been at it a while. So a little tip is I'm working from the outside of the shrub in, and because these are so large, it makes it easy for me to start taking down the height and then see what does it look like inside the shrub. And the benefit actually is because there are so many leaves out already, it's pretty easy to see how the stems are growing. So that's just a tip. If you start from the outside in, width first, height down, then take a look inside, you're really going to be able to see a lot easier what stems you might want to take out, especially the spindly ones on the inside or crossing branches. And of course, anything dead, that too. And another question I get is, why can't I just take the larger loppers and just start down below, chop them off, call it a day? I guess you could. You could find your cuts from the previous year and just go for it. But this is a little more relaxing, and trying to get in there sometimes amidst all the thorns, it's not as easy. I like to go little by little, go slowly, take your time. This actually can be relaxing. It's a little daunting, but it's relaxing. If you take your time, periodically listen to the birds, it's all good. Okay, now I'm all done with both shrubs. So you can see, took them down quite a bit. Left this one a tiny bit taller. And I usually do that. I just like this one getting taller. It's on the end. It's just so pretty. And I'll leave this one a little bit shorter. But I want to show you one thing in particular. So let me go around to the back to show you. So this is looking straight down into the shrub that's more at the front of the bed. You can see just to show you, it is at the front. Now, I'm all about leaving new canes to take over the older canes that eventually die off. But if you look at this new cane, it's rubbing right against this guy. See this? This is the cane I'm holding. But this old dead guy, he needs to come out. He's dead. Nothing else has grown off of him. You can see where I've pruned him different places over the years. 1, 2, there's a couple on the other side. So I'm going to get my loppers out and prune him off, and then this guy will be free to just continue to grow and should be fine. He won't be impeded by anything. And see this guy? He's also dead. So I'm going to cut him off as well. So here's how these look, and you'll notice that just like in my video 2 years ago, I kept all these strong stems. Any skinny tiny stems are gone, as is all of the inside growth. See how I can see right down into the center of the plant? Nothing is crossing, thank goodness. I did a good double check. I got rid of those potential crossing branches, the old guys. And then this is the second one, like I mentioned. I cut this a little bit higher, not much. I'd say maybe about 6 to 8 inches higher, not quite a foot higher. And again, did the same thing, cut off all the inside growth. You see how old some of these canes look, but they still produce so much growth in the summer. So don't be confused when you see these. You know, like see this guy? I shouldn't touch him with my bare hands, but I cut him there. You know, in prior years, here's a really old one I used to cut back. And then that eventually just stopped doing anything, and I let this one become the guy. So there's a lot of new growth that you see that is left, you know, not anything nearly like what it was, but you also see down here, you can see there's a lot of buds on the stems as well. So those are all going to produce beautiful leaves, beautiful flowers. But there you go. Now, one other final tip I'll give you is that before you start this project, and maybe I should have put this in the beginning, make sure you pull your hair back. Whether you're a man or a woman, you got any kind of long hair, pull it back so it doesn't get caught on very large knockout rose bushes. It's not fun. And also wear some old clothes. Just, you know, it's possible these thorns are going to get your whatever you're wearing. So wear some old clothes that you don't mind getting a few snags. Now, what I also want you to see is the mess that's in this bed. Do you see all that down there? That is all the leftover leaves from the ornamental maple. They dry and they're almost like, I don't know, like lightweight fuzz. And I have got to clean all that out so that this bed will be nice and ready. Of course, the next project is going to be, yep, the lavender phenomenal. Let me show you what the other bed looks like real quick. So that's where I was. That's the other foundation bed, and that's the lavender I just showed you, and then this is more of the lavender phenomenal here. So that's coming up next. Again, I have tete-a-tetes and candy tuft, a Japanese hellerai, my prized possession. These are 2 Kramer's Red Winter Heaths, and all the beautiful daffodils, and even a crocus coming out from among this ground covered juniper. Those daffodils back there are Cragford. They're late blooming daffodils, and I guess I forgot to tell them that because they're already starting to open. And those are supposed to be more April. Ah, yeah. And then look at this pretty vignette here. Got a nice bunch of dark purple crocuses with the tete-a-tetes and the sprinkler head. I mean, you can't get a much more beautiful sprinkler head than that, can you? And then, of course, this is the blue star juniper. And a cleaned up bed. You see, now you see the mulch again. So unlike the other bed that I still have to clean with all the fronds from the, I guess they're not fronds, they're sort of leaves, but this is what they look like. They blow away. I mean, these just kind of are like straw. So they were all over this ground, and last year I waited way too long to clean them up, and there were so many weeds underneath, so I cleaned those up. So that's a quick look at my middle of March gardens, and also how I still to this day, 2 years later, prune my knockout roses. Now here is the video to watch next, which is the nitty-gritty with a lot of up close and personal looks and tips and details of how to prune the knockout roses. And also, this is the entire knockout rose playlist that I have, which is several videos, which includes not only pruning, but also deadheading, fall care, dealing with black spot. So I hope that's helpful to you, and until next time, happy gardening.